You reporter Cat Timpf. Aww. Finally, he's so big it took 5 storks to deliver him. TNA wrestler Tyrus. But first. It's true. Finally, Donald versus Hillary. Hillary versus Donald. I haven't been this excited for a Monday night since they canceled Designing Women. 100 million people are expected to watch as the polls show a race that's tighter than Channing Tatum's abs. You know what they say.
Stakes are high.
The stakes in this election have never been higher.
The stakes are high.
A high-stakes showdown.
The stakes couldn't be higher. This is what America's been waiting for.
Stakes, eh? The stakes are high as Gary Johnson.
Who we are and what we've done, and not based on that. I think I could stand up there for the whole debate and not say anything and emerge as the leader.
She is so turned on. I think we found our new president. But you know, Gary may be onto something. Expectations are very low. But Donald may be keeping expectations low by saying stuff like this.
Look,
I didn't know
it's a phony system. Lester's a Democrat. I mean, they're all Democrats, okay?
Except that Lester's a registered Republican and my Pilates instructor. He has great soft hands. Meantime, Hillary's been holed up somewhere getting ready for battle. Can you blame her? Listen to this.
Now, having said all this, why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask? Well, the choice for working families has never been clearer. I need your help to get Donald Trump's record out to everybody.
Oh, lady, you want to know why you're not 50 points ahead? It's because you're yelling at me. Do it again.
Having said all this, why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask?
That could wake the cremated. Once more.
Having said all this, why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask?
She's a vuvuzela in IMAX. Oh, man. No difference. She's like the lady in line ahead of you fighting with the cashier, and she comes and she's looking at you for support. No thanks, lady. I'm just buying corn nuts and Listerine strips. This is your battle. Now, Trump doesn't like to over-prepare. Instead, Thursday, he went to Philly for a cheesesteak.
Who wants one? You want one?
Mr. Trump, how's debate prep going right now?
Well, I'm here with you.
Democrats for Trump. Democrats for Trump.
I think it's going bad.
Debate? I'm getting a cheesesteak. Screw your debates. But maybe that's his strategy. Play it cool while Hillary's huddled away studying. He's Ferris Bueller to her Jeannie Bueller. He's Bart Simpson to her Lisa. He's Mike Seaver to her Carol Seaver. She's a Volvo. He's the lead car in Road Warrior. She's grilled chicken. He's soggy fries you devour over the sink right before blacking out in your own filth. She's a low-carb smoothie. He's a breakfast burrito from 7-Eleven that gives you the runs. So who's got the better strategy? Well, during the primaries, Trump picked off 16 others one by one.
You're the liar. You're the lying guy up here. You're the one. You're the one. I've given my answer, Lion Ted. I've given my answer. Don't worry about it, little Marco. I will.
All right, well, let's hear Big Don. Donald.
Don't worry about it, Don't worry about it, little Marco.
Oh, you're a tough guy, Jeb.
I'm at 42 and you're at 3, so far I'm doing better.
Doesn't matter.
So far I'm doing better. You know, you started off over here, Jeb. You're moving over further and further. Pretty soon you're going to be off the end.
It still works. It worked on those guys, but could it work on Hillary? She could do what she did back in 2008.
Well, that hurts my feelings.
I'm sorry, Senator. I'm sorry.
But I'll try to go on.
I'm thinking this could turn into an old married couple screaming at each other on a Carnival cruise. Or go deathly silent, like an old married couple not screaming at each other on a Carnival cruise. Maybe that's the best debate prep of all. Practice how long you can remain silent. This is going to be the greatest night ever, isn't it, Dr. Gorka? Well, first, because we're going to dinner. Anyway, but no, how do you see this unfolding?
Look, it's being pitched like Godzilla versus King Kong, right?
Yes.
But the trouble is, there's only one person in the race.
Yes.
There's one person running around the track. The other person isn't even in the stadium. They're at home on an IV. I mean, it's... seriously.
Yeah. So you're saying she's anemic and weak, and he's basically running against himself.
He is doing what he does, which is being the Donald.
Yes.
And people are lapping it up, and he came from nowhere.
Yes.
A year ago, who took him seriously?
I didn't.
Nobody took him seriously.
And I told him to run. What was I thinking? No! I was prescient. All right, David, what do you make of this? As a comedian, you have so many targets.
I am actually worried about Hillary.
Really?
I'm genuinely, like, there's so much anxiety. I don't think she will. I'm afraid she'll, like, faint or something. I'm genuinely afraid of it, and I have anxiety about that. Like, and I'm not like a Hillary health truther.
Yes.
Like, I totally take her at her revised statement that it's pneumonia and whatever. I uncynically accept her third version of events. No problem, but like, I don't know. I just don't know. That to me, her health, I mean, that is such a big red flag. Bernie Sanders supporters are actually gathering around to salute it. I mean, that's... Is there a balloon drop here? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Tyrus, could it be that the expectations are so low that our expectations are high for mayhem? We're expecting it just all hell break loose. It might not.
You know, in wrestling, we do this a lot where you build the card, and they're doing a good job of this. We could just go back to Hillary's speech. She's obviously being coached.
Right.
Because she obviously has someone trying to give her some emotion. There's somebody in her ear. That's where the head stuff came from when she was, I'll tell you what, why? Because someone's like, emotion. Have we got it? That's not quite it. But she's there. Because usually when she speaks, it's like, blah, blah, nothing moves, and America doesn't pay attention. So now that she's throwing her head around, maybe it'll be more exciting when, throw some head stuff, You know
what it's like? It's like like Westworld. Like she's one of the robots, and they're down in this little center going, move head. All right. Point at Donald. All right, Kat. Trump's strategy is to let Hillary talk. Is he going to actually be able to bite his tongue?
Okay, it's going to work because I'm sure she's going to be the one that's going to be prepared and have the best policy points, and all the talking head people will say she won. Yeah. But people watching at home don't care. They like the zingers. He's Captain Zinger. He's very good at short little phrases like "Make America Great Again," "Build the Wall," China is bad. Like, all of that is very interesting. Like, what does she have? She has only bad ones that people remember, like, what difference does it make, or clean with the cloth, or Pokemon go to the polls, which was maybe the worst one of all of them.
That was good.
So, I mean, he's going to have all the good memorable moments, and she better hope she doesn't have any memorable moments, because they're never good ones.
You know what? I have a strategy that I think Trump could win this outright. You know what he's got to get her to do is have a coughing fit, right? She's got to start. Once she starts coughing, it's over. So what he's got to do, they got a podium. So let's see, he's got to tell them first that, he sweats a lot, so he needs like a fan. He has a little fan there. And then when the camera's not on him, he brings out the pepper mill. And he just does this. And then it just blows pepper in her direction. I'm not much of a prop comic, but I'm kind of proud of this.
That's pretty good.
It is good. Well, we got to move on here. I want to talk. Tyrus, you went out and you actually talked to people on the street. Shows normally don't do this. They don't send people out to like Times Square to interview people. I think this is the first show on Fox ever to do this.
Incredible. What an idea.
Yeah, exactly.
It was an amazing experience.
Yeah, you talked to American people about
kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, got to. Apparently, the International House of Hanging Out is. In times, it was literally, you're from China, you're from Scotland. Sweet. Is there a New Yorker in the house?
Yeah, you won't find them.
New Yorker said, leave me alone.
The only way you're going to find that is by going to the prisons. All right, can we roll this? Let's go.
Greatest debate in the history of mankind is coming up between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
Who do you think has the advantage?
Donald Trump.
What kind of debate would you want to see? They talk about the issues and policies, or a straight-up your mama match?
Yo, mama.
What happens if Trump makes her cry?
I love it.
Who would win in an arm wrestling contest, Hillary or Trump?
Probably Hillary. She'd kick him in the
So, oh, she's a dirty fighter and he's a dirty talker. Let's say Hillary continues to talk after her time is up. What would be an effective device to get them from stop talking? Just a shh. One guy said to hook him up to an electric chair, and you said shh, which it could work. So if you guys were there, just like at a Red Sox game, would you heckle her?
No.
You wouldn't do the Buckner chant like, Hillary, Hillary, you married a cheater. Clap, 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 married a cheater. We've assembled a panel of what we would think would be the greatest debates of all time. Clinton, Trump, Burr, Hamilton, Greg. Then a unicorn, Arnold and Sly, Bradgelina, in Alien versus Predator.
Oh, definitely Arnold and Stallone. For sure.
What do you think that would be about? Whose face is pulled back tighter? They're not even real people, sir.
But you said the greatest one to watch. That'd be the greatest.
Yeah, because they're going to say a lot, right? You have no idea who this man is?
No.
Okay, because we're going to delete everything you just said if you can't tell me who this man is. Who this man is.
Oh, Greg Gutfeld.
Greg Gutfeld, right? You love that guy, right?
Yeah, I love Greg Gutfeld.
Watch him every week?
Yeah, definitely. I love his, I love the Tonight Show.
You want to see Bradgelina?
Well, I don't know their story. I just love the way that they look.
Oh, they're hot. So you want them just to stand on the stage and look pretty. That's how I make my living, so it's all good. Who would you like to see?
Dead ones.
Burr shot him.
Oh, wait, hold on. The other guy is my guy, Hamilton.
Well,
I went to his school.
Well, you should have told him to duck right there. And you do know that that's a unicorn.
Yeah.
And this guy is?
That's Greg Gutfeld.
Oh! Somebody knows!
But the debate as a whole, I think America is, at least the pulse I got from down there, they want to see it, but I think they've kind of seen it already, and they think if it's not going to be name calling, if it's not going to be an old episode of Saturday Night Live with Dan Aykroyd and Jane, where she says policy after policy and Trump calls Hillary, you ignorant slut. Like, that's what they want to see.
Yeah,
and,
everybody wants the excitement and the thrills. All right, we got to take a break. Much more to come. Coming up, days of rioting in Charlotte. We'll talk about that next. This week, we saw violent protests break out in Charlotte after an African-American man was shot by an African-American police officer. Police say the man was carrying a gun. His family says it was a book. But there was a time when we waited for all the facts. Now we're in the age of instant everything. Feelings trump facts, and threats of violence twist the path to justice. Does such chaos add pressure to punish, as seen in Baltimore? And isn't that just another form of injustice, too? We knock Islamism for reverting to 7th century ideas, but here we have a similar phenomenon. Once riots influence law, we trade civil society for mob rule. And whether it's jihadism or riots, the left and its compliant media are handicapped by their own belief that the system somehow deserves it. Add to that the network cameras, which attract crowds like moths to a flame, adding more drama, more adrenaline, and less patience. So should we return to a time when justice was instant? If so, then it's over for everyone.
Period.
Tyrus, rioting, looting, effective way to bring about change?
No. And it's funny because last week we talked about protesting. Colin Kaepernick, Mike Bennett, Seattle Seahawks. That's a protest.
Yeah.
Build dialogue. Disagree, agree, you respect the protest. What happened in Charlotte, regardless of whatever the video shows, means absolutely nothing. Because these people, and unfortunately because I'm African American, for some reason I always get connected to this. This was not a protest. These are not protesters. This is a hate crime. They should all be charged with hate crimes. They destroyed their city. They dragged white people into parking lots and beat the hell out of them. They threw rocks off on families of cars. They tried to steal cars. They weren't looking for justice and cash registers. The whole thing was, and then in a situation like that where the whole point of it was police brutality, police violence, and one of your protesters was shot by one of your protesters. So you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So you're not part of the solution. You're the problem. And if the media would just have the balls to say this is not a protest. These are rioters, these are criminals, these are thugs, and show that they are their own worst enemy. The police are no longer going to patrol their neighborhoods. So what does that mean? More brothers are being killed by brothers.
Yeah.
And if I was a police officer, I wouldn't go in there. Because if it was like they said it was, they wouldn't have been throwing tear gas. When they hit the city, the cops wouldn't have had batons. They would have had guns, and they would have shot them all up. Because according to them, that's how it was. And while all this stuff was going down, Black Lives Matters, we stand with you. So in a way, at least it all came out because it wasn't a white thing. This is the one time white people would be like, hey, privilege, we didn't do this.
Yeah.
They're not involved.
Yeah.
It was black on black crime. If it was truly wrong for shooting him, otherwise it was a police officer doing his duty, but it was African Americans involved. So we can take the race out of it. It is their hatred for the police department. It's their hatred for officers out there doing their job. So just keep it real. It has nothing to do with race, but that's an easy ticket because unfortunately there's a small part of our population that they just hear race and they jump all over it and we get what we get.
Well, that's the thing, Dr. Gorka. It feels like the discussion is over. It's like this: the mind cannot be unbended when it comes to race or it comes to any kind of ideology, right?
I think, it doesn't matter what's on any of these videos. Because it's not about truth. It's about division. It's about hatred. And I'd like to ask, the scenario, what if we change the color of the rioters? Or what if they weren't shouting Black Lives Matter, but shouting, Abu Bakr and ISIS? How would we treat those people?
Right.
So why? What's changed? If the mantra was white justice or Islamic justice, these people would be treated as terrorists.
Yeah.
No?
I feel the same way. But I see this now as a trend in almost everything, David. I think communication is futile. I think it's like we are now going into our respective camps and being around people we agree with, and that's it, right?
Right. I appreciate the opportunity to be comic relief on this topic.
Yes, this is a challenge.
I do think, I think you could have some empathy. I'm not going to try to dissect it too much, but if people react irrationally sometimes.
Yes.
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 Look you have 9/11.
Right.
Very fancy white people decided to invade Iraq over that. That's not the right move,
Yeah, okay.
So, there's things people do where it's all right, I don't want to be judging too harshly, but it is if you're going to protest the police, riots aren't the best way. They're just getting more money. You know what I mean? Now they're getting funding for the tanks and stuff.
Yeah, and also it's like if you're protesting against the government, then go to the government centers. But if you're going to loot, all you're going to get is copier paper.
Paper clips.
Yeah, and paper clips.
I just want to make sure that I say I also have an anti-looting and murder stance.
That's very good.
I do. But, police brutality is a problem. You are more likely to be killed if you're black than you're white. But you're just, looting is not helping anything, obviously. Also, I love that Trump has been trying to connect with the black community. It's good, but at the same time, he's proposing stop and frisk, which, proposing that in the communities that have been negatively affected the most by stop and frisk is maybe not the best idea.
But I might disagree with you in that communities where there are guys with guns, stop and frisk actually helps the people living in the community.
Well, they get arrested for having something in their pockets. I'm just saying, I don't know that it's resonating, but that's okay. Sometimes you try to talk to somebody and then you say the wrong thing and they don't text you back, but at least you tried.
Okay. The other thing is, and I've said this before, we have to admit that riots are fun. They are literally a riot. When people are out there, they are doing it because it's exhilarating to break windows. It's exhilarating to chase somebody down a street. It's exhilarating to take things. And we all talk about it's about injustice. No, there are young guys on the street having a blast, and then they wake up and they have stories to tell.
But then, did the Million Man March mean anything?
Yeah, I hope so.
You got to ask these people, right?
How many of these people remember that?
Or like Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
What's their attitude to them?
Yeah.
But these brothers and sisters don't reflect black America. They don't. They don't. They don't have no concern for anything else but their own stuff. Their agenda is simple. And there's no other word for it, but it is from the rap songs that we grew up on hearing. Some of us had the common sense to realize that's not how the world works. But with all due respect, it's the police. And that's their narrative. And they don't care anything about it because common sense, stats means nothing.
Right.
If you look at who's killing black people, it's not the police. It's like this much.
Yeah.
White people get killed this much by the police. Black people killed by black people is this much.
Yeah.
And by doing what you're doing and getting the police to leave your neighborhoods, that number's going up.
Yeah, and you don't want that. All right, we got to move on. We got tons more stuff coming up, including a bomb went off in New York City last week. A terrorist stabs people in Minnesota. But do we even remember it? The story people stopped talking about. Next. A bomb. Yes, a bomb. Exploded on a busy street in New York City a week ago, and somehow that story has been pushed out of the headlines, and we've all moved on. So now I'm going to remind you all about it. 29 people were injured in the blast, but things could have been much worse if a second device that was planted just blocks away had also detonated. Suspected bomber Ahmad Rahami was captured on Monday after a shootout in Linden, New Jersey. But listen to the candidates' initial reactions to the bombings.
Just before I got off the plane, a bomb went off in New York, and nobody knows exactly what's going on. But, boy, we are living in a time. We better get very tough, folks. We better get very, very tough.
I've been briefed about the bombings in New York and New Jersey and the attack in Minnesota. Obviously, we need to do everything we can to support our first responders, also to pray for the victims. We have to let this investigation unfold.
Get seasick watching that. But how even-handed and dispassionate she is, how opposite in tone in tweet she was about Charlotte. Of course, there was another terror attack in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Hero off-duty officer Jason Falconer shot and killed the creep who stabbed at least 8 victims. So why do we forget terror so easily as we move on to racial unrest? It's pretty simple. With terror, the enemy is external and unifies a country. To unite against the jihad means social justice warriors have no authority anymore. But racial unrest is internal and tears us apart and emboldens anti-American forces in media and academia. For them, ISIS is less evil than the people they actually target. By the way, did you know that Falconer was an NRA certified firearms instructor? It was a fact conveniently left out of most stories because, as you know, the NRA is evil.
Period.
All right. Yeah, thank you. David, you just moved to New York. Were you surprised kind of how the daily routines just went back after the bombings? Everybody was still out drinking.
Well, I was out that night.
Yes.
And someone was like, there was a bomb at 23rd Street. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, my God. I'm going to have to walk to Broadway to go up to the... You know, it was...
So
you
true.
get back, but the thing is, it's like de Blasio. Mm-hmm. You got to come out and say there's a bomb.
I know.
It's 2 hours later. He's like, we don't know what it is.
Yes, yes.
It's like, I'm there 30 seconds. I can be like, oh, a dumpster doesn't just explode. It's
Yes.
a bomb.
Yes.
He won't. He like won't admit it. He's like, it was a kinetic home appliance.
Yes. It could have been somebody making some rice. They put in the wrong spices, Dr. Gorka. You never know what happened.
We've all made kimchi the wrong way.
Yes.
It doesn't.
Yes.
Can I make one correction to
Sure.
amazing analysis? Or just re-emphasize things?
Yeah.
You said one bomb.
Yeah.
There were 11 IEDs this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
11 IEDs in New York and New Jersey. Only 2 blew up.
Right.
11 in a weekend is Beirut statistics.
Yes.
Okay? And we still forget it.
Mm-hmm.
I really like your internal, external thing, and we got to hate the right more than the jihadis. Absolutely
Yeah.
true. But again, it's not external anymore. With this arrest of this guy, since ISIS declared caliphate in the last 2 years, we have killed or arrested 112 people in America linked to ISIS. Not 12, not 22, 112 right here in America.
Kind of funny how bad they suck at building bombs, though.
Unlucky for us.
For now.
Yeah,
for now.
Yeah, I get for now, but I think that we should make fun of them a little bit for sucking at building bombs. I mean, if you're the kind of person that builds bombs, that's probably all you do. It's not like a side hobby.
But
you
they
know?
I totally disagree with your logic. All right. They're learning from Aspire magazine, right?
Saying.
They're learning from Aspire magazine, and these bombs are. They say the more primitive they are, the more likely they go off, right? The simpler that they are, the easier, the more complex, the more likely they malfunction. It's like that with.
So the
cars.
bomb nerds are the ones really messing up.
Yeah, it's the bomb nerds.
Oh.
It's the primitive guys, and we don't panic because there wasn't as many casualties. I mean, what happens, Tyrus, if it had been 29 deaths? I mean,
then it would have been a problem. Another problem was how quickly it was diffused. How quickly, New York Police Department and the FBI and the fire department, they got things done. Handled. The guy was apprehended. Although, just looking at him, I refuse to believe that was the mastermind behind everything. And that's the scary part. And then it was like, oh, we got him.
Yeah.
We're good. Let's go back to hating each other.
Literally.
The issue is, if anything, when you look at stuff, when you're planning stuff, if I was planning stuff, I was trying to think of what I would do. I would have sent the dummy out first.
Yeah,
the guy I don't care about. Listen, you're gonna plant 11 bombs. You do what you gotta do. When you get back, if you don't make it, you got 7,000 virgins waiting on you. And if you do, you're gonna go to Guantanamo, which is a lot better than people letting you know it's on. It's not that bad.
Yeah, you get 3 squares.
And they caught him. He served him up. And to me, that's more of a red flag than a white flag.
Slow Bill.
I didn't say we shouldn't kill terrorists.
Over in the Middle East.
For the record.
No.
I did not say that.
She might have. I don't know that to be true. I don't know the facts, but I know it's true. On the other side of it, we have been messing up their leaders on the other side of the world.
That's true. Yeah.
And there's been a lot of deaths.
Yeah.
And their infrastructure is in trouble. And then it just so happens Syria and America supposedly messed up and we bombed the wrong people, which I'm pretty sure we bombed the right people. So reactions are now frantic. And so this is a time where they're going to make mistakes and guys are getting nervous because now they're cut off from their lifelines and their money lines and they're trying to make moves. So things like this, poorly planned stuff will probably be a little more prevalent than it was before.
I think so too. One last fact before we move on. The dad of the terrorist reported him 2 years ago. I'm surprised that CARE hasn't called the dad Islamophobic. Don't you think? But it's kind of it's a big scandal in the sense that we criticize moderate Muslims for not cooperating, and then when they do, we ignore them. That's kind of on us. We want the cooperation, and then we drop the ball on this one. Okay, up next, a new segment with Kat Timpf. We're calling it a new segment with Kat Timpf. That's creativity.
Welcome back. Greg's dead. I'm Kat. So there was a lot of stuff that upset me this week. First one, Bono.
America is like the best idea the world ever came up with. But Donald Trump is potentially the worst idea that ever happened to America.
Really? Trump's the worst idea to ever happen to America? Remember when you tried to force your crappy album into all of our iTunes accounts 2 years ago? And of course, you clearly forgot all the other awful ideas in the history of this country, like slavery, prohibition, slavery. But there's recent stuff too. Like Hillary Clinton's idea to use a personal server to discuss sensitive information, which may have put our national security at risk just for the sake of her own convenience. Anthony Weiner's idea to ever pick up a smartphone. Whoever had the idea to give Tila Tequila her own show. And I've seen every episode, so I'm completely qualified to pass judgment. Cummerbunds. Not stylish, sexy, or even practical. Seriously, here's something that has never been said. Ooh, sweet cummerbund, let's have sex. How about the McRib? Actually, no, the McRib's kind of nice. I can't pretend I'm too good for the McRib, so take it down, please. Okay, but you know what is bad? The social pressure to use chopsticks. Why should I have to eat sushi with a utensil that I suck at? Which reminds me, word up to my boys at Panda Express for inventing the chork. It's real nice. Anyway, Bono, you're wrong about Trump, and I don't like when celebrities tell me how to think. Are people really voting because celebrities are telling them to vote? If you do that, you probably buy a Vino face wash thinking that's what Jennifer Aniston actually uses. Everyone knows she washed her face with Angelina's tears. Remember, people, in 2012 when Miley Cyrus told you to vote, and then you did, and then she came to your house to tell you how cool that was, and now you're best friends? No, because that does not happen. Sorry, fanboys, but you will never impress Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk by voting. They don't care what you do, because they don't know you exist, and you will never meet them. Speaking of face wash, I can't stand when people use the KKK as some type of proof that all Trump supporters are racist. For example, Elizabeth Warren this week.
Let's face it, Donald Trump has more support from Aryan Nation and the KKK than he does from leaders of his own party.
The worst of the worst doesn't represent a whole group. A lot of Beatles fans were in Charles Manson's cult. Is that a representation of all Beatles fans? I'm a Beatles fan. Does that mean I'll probably be joining a drugs and sex-fueled murderous cult any day now? Maybe, I don't know. Sounds kind of fun. But what about the worst of Hillary Clinton supporters? Like the Orlando shooter's father, who after the shooting said that God will punish homosexuals and use that as an example of what all her supporters are like? Or maybe, just maybe, the handpicked worst of a group doesn't say something about the entire group. And finally, my main brosif, Gary Johnson. On Thursday, this happened.
I think I could stand up there for the whole debate and not say anything and emerge as a leader.
Now, for some reason, there were some jerky, jerk-faced cable news hosts who made fun of Johnson for this.
The stakes are high as Gary Johnson.
Who we are and what we've done, and not based on that. I think I could stand up there for the whole debate and not say anything and emerge as a leader.
She is so turned on. I think we found our new president.
Here's the thing. Getting busted with your tongue sticking out can happen to anyone.
How could you be chill and be a surgeon? That's such a not chill thing to do.
So my favorite moment was when
that's so not chill.
Trump said.
See, it happens to even the most brilliant people sometimes. So leave my little Gare Bear alone. Can I get an exclamation point?
Exclamation point.
All right. Coming up, I sit quietly during the break, but you won't see that because it'll be during a commercial. And then Omarosa says something psychotic because, you know, she's crazy. Frontline, a show on PBS, wherever that is, has released a preview of their election special airing next week, and it looks awesome, I think. I didn't see it. The clip focuses on the 2011 White House Correspondents' Dinner, where President Obama hammered Trump with joke after joke. The crowd ate it up. Trump advisor Roger Stone says that was the night Trump decided to run for president. But the real highlight comes from this amazing quote from Omarosa.
Every critic, every detractor will have to bow down to President Trump. It's everyone who's ever doubted Donald, whoever disagreed, whoever challenged him. It is the ultimate revenge to become the most powerful man in the universe.
Well, I am just shaking in my boots. She scares the hell out of me. I don't know, David, there were so many better choices among The Apprentice. And, you know,
Gary Busey, I know. He should be out on the campaign trail.
He should. He probably thinks he is. He's sitting on the couch going, this is fantastic. But it's like, you know, Trump says he keeps hiring the best people. She's not the best person. She was the villain. The villain.
She gets things done, though.
But can we look at what she said?
Villains are valuable.
Villains are valuable. That's true. That should be a T-shirt.
Yeah, maybe I'll make one.
Can we look at what she said?
Yes.
Bow down.
Yes.
Okay. The guy's entertaining, right? Politics has become entertaining. What about if you're a filmmaker in California? Mm-hmm. Did you have to bow down to Obama, or were you put in prison?
Interesting point.
Talk about reality.
Yes, that is
right.
Yes.
You know what I don't get is why she's fantasizing about people bowing down to another person. Because we all fantasize about like everybody like bowing down to ourselves.
Yeah, that's
right? Like, I've thought about every single one of you bowing down to me since I saw you. So I think that's pretty normal. But why does she want to do that? I don't get it.
Because she's a toady.
Yeah, I don't get that.
A person that immediately says, okay, she worked for Obama, right? She worked for Trump. She has no ideology. She has no principles. All she wants is to be close to a powerful person.
I can't judge her for that one bit.
What's the word for that?
Are you talking about Cruz?
What's that word? You said an ass kisser. Yeah,
yes.
That's what she is. Brown noser. Yes woman.
Yeah.
Yes person.
Yeah, what does that be? Yes
person.
Man. Yes man is sexist.
But
It is.
The whole video, and for those of you who didn't, you got to watch the whole thing because it's amazing. I was like, dun, 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 like this. Donald Trump doesn't need anybody to defend him. And when it comes to name calling, Donald Trump's up there, top 10 name callers of all time.
Right.
He ran his mouth about Obama for a hot minute and then decided to walk into Obama's moment and sit front row.
Yeah.
And Obama ate his up, which what happens sometimes when you're a bully, you get it served to you.
I like her.
You like her?
I like that she's able to say that stuff and not even crack a smile. It's hilarious.
She's a robot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Goes back to your theory, boss.
Yes, I think she is a robot.
She's a robot, cyborg.
I read on Wikipedia, which is very, very valuable source of information, that she was supposed to be on Jimmy Kimmel, and then she saw a lie detector test, and she like ran away. That's
Because
great.
the cables with her battery system and stuff, it would have malfunctioned. Cyborgs have to be very careful.
All right.
She has no pulse.
We got to go. We got to move on.
She only comes out at night.
Who does, really? All right. Final thoughts next. I shouted it. We're almost out of time, so...
What you've wanted to say all show, but haven't had the chance to say, so here's your chance to say it. Right now.
Doctor?
I'm just so impressed you give us the opportunity to do that. You're such a nice host.
Thank you.
You've already plugged my book, so I don't need to plug my book.
Okay.
So I'm just going to share one thing. I'm angry.
Okay, at what?
I've never been on Fox without a tie, and I took my tie off today for you. And what do? You put a tie on.
Well, you know what? That just shows you don't watch the show, because I wear a tie
I don't have cable.
You don't have cable?
I don't have cable.
Interesting man. And he calls himself a doctor. Obviously not a real doctor. All right, David.